So recently, early this week, and granted, wifey Tay is a fan of Boosie's Live. I'm a fan of Boosie's Live because they ratchet. They ratchet. I loves it.
Ratchet.
Oh man,
Boosie, no fucks given.
no fucks given. He had on there the other day. He had this thing when he was having a party, and he was like, "Show me some titties, and I will send you an invite to my party." You know what I'm saying? So he would like join girls to his live. He was like, and they would like shake it and show titties, and were like, and people were like, I'm gonna tell Tay. Tell her she showed me. We watched it together.
We watching titties
We
together.
watched titties together. He's like,
Okay.
oh, I like that. Oh yeah, there you go. I'm gonna give you 2 tickets. 2 tickets. Let me know. Send me your address. Anyway, so next day, we found out on his live. I'm gonna put this in the share my screen. The next day, we found out that he was on live, and he mentions that he training his boys right, and I'm training. Ask my nephews, ask my son. Yeah, they 12, 13. They got head. That's how it's supposed to be. I got my fucking son's dick sucked. You fucking right. Grown ass woman, super grown. Check out that ass.
Grown.
He's out, super grown. She grown. Check me out. So he's super excited about this. And granted, he's mentioned this before. I don't think the backlash was nearly as bad as it was.
It was back in 2017.
Was it 27? Has it been that damn long? He said that crazy shit.
He originally said it in 2017 because that's all the articles. If you just type in to Google, Boosie letting his 14-year-old son or sons fuck or whatever, you get those articles where like people came for him, like pitchforks and knives and shit.
They was coming hard this time. It's been plenty of articles, and one of the things that I don't the words I hate to use because toxic is such a
overused.
It's overused, and it elicits a immediate negative reaction from people. As soon as you say toxic, they're like, "What the fuck you mean toxic?" Like, toxic might as well be socialist. It is the male equivalent of saying you socialist. You know what I'm saying? So when people are like Boosie toxic, oh man, motherfuckers come out of the woodwork. Fuck you mean toxic, bitch? I'm like, whoa. I mean, when you mention toxic masculinity, which I don't like that term, I think that term inherently means that toxic masculinity is toxic by nature. But when you say toxic masculinity, Boosie is the nigga that we talk about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I want to get your guys' idea. How do you feel about Boosie? How do you feel about initially about all of this? What was your thoughts?
Well, he's entitled to feel however he wants, but at the same time, you have to know that is not like you have to know some heat was gonna come if you tell people like, yo, I got my 12-year-old or 15-year-old, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think we all know somebody like that would do something like that, but
yeah, we do.
Don't invite me to be like, hey man, the party I'm throwing next week, my son gonna be there doing the thing, like, bruh.
Yeah.
And it's just a part of, the social media world we live in, where it's like, I get it. If that's how you feel, that's a principle you stand on, that's dope. But guess what? Just because you put it out there and that's how you feel strongly does not mean that's necessarily
right.
Everybody else's opinion. Or is it legal? What is the legality to it?
Yeah. It's definitely illegal.
It's not legal. But he got the right baby mamas. He got the right baby mamas, and I mean, because he still can talk about it. His whole thought process is all the way left. That doesn't make any sense. It's completely illegal. Obviously, his level of understanding of the legality of the situation is totally missed on him. Obviously, he's never heard of the trouble that people get into when adults have a picture of a child on their phone in a compromising position, or are in possession of a child in a compromising position, and you're bragging about you had an adult woman. Has he not heard about R. Kelly? That's it.
I think his point is though, how you gonna have to prove it. He can deny it just as easily as he said it. So running off at the mouth for him being the personality that he is, I think it's regular to him. It don't matter. Prove it, bitch. Is what he gonna is his mentality. Right? I can say whatever I want to say, but if you ain't got no proof, you ain't really got no proof. We can go to court and then I just say I was just talking, gassing up the internet.
I mean, it does go back to the idea that all publicity is good publicity because we're talking about it.
I think,
right.
But my thing is, I think something has to be wrong in his mind because,
What
you don't come up with an idea like that or a thought process like that without something being wrong with you. Because I feel like he may have been thinking like, you know what, when I was 12, you know what I would have liked. I would have liked a 26-year-old to suck my whatever or do whatever to me. So you know what? I don't care what my son thinks, feels. I'm not going to even. That's what I want to get him. So that's what he needs because that's what I wanted.
So why let me ask you a question. Why you assuming that the 13, 14-year-old didn't want to do it?
Because that's not like an idea that I. Now, don't get me wrong now. However, if the 13-year-old wanted that and he wanted to follow down that path, I got no beefs with you.
I do because he's 13, and that's why he ain't an adult.
I'm saying
decisions past your clothes.
Right, I mean,
but what I'm saying is that like if the 13-year-old, if he chose to go out there and do that, and that was his. He figured it out. He did everything.
I understand why she looking funny because my wife looked at me the same way when you said when I said what Ryan just said. Because I mean, here's the thing.
If he stand up to his crazy daddy, where he gonna live?
No. What I'm saying is
your dad could be like, oh, all right. So now you assuming that Boosie would have, if he said no, that Boosie would have been like, all right, you got to do it. We assuming the worst about this man instead of just taking it at face value. He say he made his son do it. He say in his terms he just offered it.
And so I think that's where
the thing you got to realize about men. Now most of us in here probably stole pictures out of our dad's Playboy book and had at 12, 13 and was thinking about it.
Or saw a Playboy or had a Playboy
was at school and seen a teacher that was that fire. And if we could have got it, we would have took it.
We would have took it, right.
That's a child seeking a picture of an adult, not an adult doing something to you.
Wait.
No, that's the thing is what we're saying is if we had the opportunity, we would have done it.
Of course, you were a child. That's child thinking, not thinking about the legality of the situation.
This is me as a grown person. Tell him I would have told my 12-year-old self to take it.
Right, and so what I think what
the
he's
child
saying,
doesn't get in trouble. The adult gets in trouble.
Oh no, we know it's illegal. Like it's same reasoning with R. Kelly. Y'all grown ass going to jail. You doing something that's illegal.
Yeah.
So you out here taking all the risks. The child ain't going to jail. I think what we arguing is. What I'm arguing is we try to. I feel like we try to make sex sacred, like the child is losing some sort of innocence because they bust a nut. When I don't think that's how it goes. In my opinion,
I think we're having two different conversations here.
Yeah.
Because
we talk about legality and right and wrong.
Well, or better yet, one conversation is that like we're saying that like okay, that what Boosie said and his actions. Are those the correct actions? And the other argument or conversation that you need to have is that like human sexuality and what a kid is going to want to do and experiment. And I think the problem that you have is that like both of those two separate arguments basically have been intertwined because this grown man interjected himself into his son's sexuality growth process or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like I think and you have to, and it's hard to reconcile that because if Boosie's son would have came out and said I want to get a 26-year-old prostitute to suck my whatever, and he would have done that, and then Boosie found out later, that's one conversation, or that's one way to look at it. But then you look at the conversation that we're having now, which is but Boosie said that's what he wanted to get his son.
No, that was teaching. He was teaching him. That's
Right, and so
Right.
we're
Let me show you how I go down, boy. Like,
right, and so like we're looking and we're missing the whole fact of wait a minute. And my bigger concern is, wait a minute, Boosie. Did you ask your son if that's what he wanted to do, or if that's what he wanted to
Well,
want?
that's information we don't have, right? We don't know.
don't have
from the
that
context
information.
of how he said it, it seems to me as if it didn't matter. If I
Right.
tell you I'm training you right, I'm gonna train you how I feel like you need to be trained, regardless of how you feel about this situation. You know what I'm saying? That's
like,
the
go
gist
get-
that I
go
got.
So
get
that
wood
so
and
that
bring
but
wood into the house.
here's the
Nobody
thing.
asked
That's again, you just like you said, that's Mike's perspective. So that means when Mike says I'm training you a certain way, this means that's the way it's gonna go down. That when I talk to my son, like, I'm gonna show you how to do this. If he comes to me and says, well, Dad, I think I should do this too. Well, we can implement that too. So it depends on the person on whether or not they open minded to what their child has to say or not. When it comes to
Does
training.
Boosie seem like that kind of person to you? Does he seem like the guy?
Oh, but not only
I'm gonna put it this way. He seems pretty successful, so I think he got to be open minded in some sense.
but that's not. But to me, that's not necessarily the conversation that we need to be having because, like, for instance, like DP said, if your daughter or your son or whatever that's underage comes to you and be like, hey, I think I want to get fill in the blank sexual act done to me. Can you help me out? Is that good parenting? Be like, you know what? You want to get your I'm gonna help you out.
At the very least, it's creepy as fuck. Like
And
you look at
it's
yourself, at the very least, you're like, Boosie, nigga.
As a parent.
As a parent,
it's a no-go.
Okay, granted, my son's a newborn.
I think it's the lifestyle.
I ain't got no parenting. I ain't done no real parenting other than changing diapers. But if you get to the point where it's like, hey, I'm sexually active, okay, that's fine. You did that on your own. But what I'm not gonna do is facilitate that shit.
Right.
And it would be different if this was a conversation where he was talking about this is what he did for his son on his 18th birthday and flew him out to Vegas, and this is what they did.
Yeah,
that's a totally different conversation.
And even still, even as an adult,
that's still not a good conversation to have, in my opinion.
Not a good conversation, but I would feel different about you taking your adult child. Granted, 18. I'm not saying that they are making the best decisions at 18 because they're not. But at the age that you can vote, if you can't, and I'm saying this is the child going to his dad saying, "Hey, I want to go ahead and have a professional experience." If Boosie flew him out to Vegas and did that for him at 18, that's different than doing something for your child.
Like, I'm bringing them to you, son.
Right.
Let me show you how dad get that.
But at the same time, are y'all discounting their experience? Because you got to think about Boosie. Because like you say, you watch his live. Boosie got 3-4 story house, and it's constantly parties there. And what they do is, like he said, I have all my parties on the first floor. I send the kids up to the third floor. They don't have to come down for nothing. That's their thing. Now, me thinking as a male child at 13, 14 years old, half naked women walking around the house on a regular basis. I know I would have been sneaking down there to look. So all I'm saying is, I think, from me, just being a male child, my perspective, I think the child would have wanted it. Still illegal. Still, Boosie can get locked up. The lady can get locked up.
Even if the child wants it, that don't mean that he should get it. Because I mean,
it don't. But it was available, and he got it. And now what?
It's like,
but his father facilitated.
I blame Boosie.
No, but jail is not what for your father, that woman, not for the child.
I blame Boosie. The child in it, if the child wanted it, the child came to Boosie. This was the whole idea of the child. That's fine. Because it's a whole bunch of crazy stuff that a 12 or 13
right.
come with that we ain't
they won't, right.
Do. As a parent, you're supposed, the personal opinion. As a parent, parents are here to let you know what the boundaries are before the world has to let you know what boundaries are.
Right.
You set the boundaries. As a child, it is a child's job to test those boundaries.
Right.
Do y'all not see any
I could ask my dad for? Let me ask him for this.
Do we not see any lessons in him letting him do this with letting the child go through this? There are no lessons?
There are no lessons in it.
What?
So there's no lessons?
There are
So
lesbians.
first lesson is lesson one is, first of all, there's some women out here that'll do anything for some money, son.
That's another thing.
Lesson two is hey,
But
listen,
that's a lesson.
you
But
need to
that's a
put this- you need to
lesson
put this
left
rubber
for.
on. You need to be strapping up. This is what you got to do right here.
We get
But
that.
those are
let's talk about
all
this
that
woman
happened
for
because
1
we didn't
second.
see that all of that happened.
Let's talk about this
You
woman
don't,
for 1
but you
second,
assuming that you can't assume that it didn't happen.
Who is this
I
fucking
can't
lady?
assume that it
Wait,
didn't
wait.
happen because Boosie got all these kids.
Wait, y'all hold up. Let Mike
what?
get in. Country boy, go ahead.
Yo, who is this fucking lady? Like,
Prostitute. Right?
I want you to come over here.
So
I want you to come over here and give my 13-year-old son some head. Like,
And she said, you know what she said? She said, how much? It's come on, bro. It's some people out here that do anything for money.
You had to have had a crisis in your conscience. Like, yo, what the fuck am I doing in my life that I'm sucking?
Wait. Again,
People out
you
here
got to have.
sucking dick for crack. Come on, now.
Yeah, you got two different train of thoughts that you're gonna have to contain in your head when you start talking about what is this chick thinking, because there's the one thought which is says that, like, you know,
This gonna be light work. This gonna be quick.
Right, I have a certain morality about myself, and then there's another column that says what I will do anything at a price, and some people can be bought at a lower price than others. So that's a whole nother two sets of ideas that you need to keep in your head in order to even try to justify, quantify, or explain that right there.
Oh no, I agree with you. With trust, it's fault with both.
And no lady is going to do that. So a female did that. I'll give you that. A female did this to this child. And what's working in his favor is the female, unless she's completely stupid, is never going to out herself. Now, I'm going to question her thought process because she did it, but she's not going to be stupid enough, hopefully, to out herself. So that is what's keeping him safe. Because, like Bad Guy said,
in this day and age,
and if she don't say anything and the son don't say anything, how you going to
It didn't happen. And the thing is, we acting like people do anything for money. Now, how many of these teachers going to jail for having sex with these little kids? Come on now. This shit ain't abnormal.
Yeah, but I think what's abnormal is celebrity
for free.
Because they like him, because he's cute. You know what I'm saying? They getting down.
But your daddy didn't tell you to go out with Miss Robinson.
Hey,
again, but we still assuming by his tone that Boosie made him do this. I'm taking the stance of it was an option. It was in the room. He seen his son looking. He's like, "Oh, you like that, don't you? Go ahead and get you some if you want." And the boy was like, "Well, hell yeah, I'm gonna go on back there."
But is that good parenting though? Is that a positive that your son is looking at some whatever and is like, "Oh, let me get that," and you like, you know what? Go ahead.
You know
that
what?
is still horrible parenting.
You know how I know some shit is fucked up. You know how I know when something ain't right. If I look at something and say, if this was a different gender, if this was a little girl, is this still? Am I still okay with
this? Here's the thing, though.
And
we live in America, and even in our most of human civilization, we know there's a double standard when it comes to men and women. So I hate when people throw that argument out there is that, oh, you'd be totally appalled if it was a little girl. We know there's a double standard when it comes to men and women. So to use that as an argument,
you have to facilitate that. That does not mean that you need to be in the middle of that. Just because you're aware of that double standard does not mean you need to be here and like, I'm gonna give my son some head, but if my daughter was to come in here, I'm gonna fuck that nigga up. You don't have to be that dude. You don't have to.
That's just your personality. Right, it ain't for everybody. I don't think any of us here right now would do it. Like, I got a son, and no, at 13, I wasn't trying to get him laid. But I can't condemn the next dude.
I'm not ever. Don't even ask me.
I can condemn the other dude for doing it because some stuff is just right and some stuff is just wrong. And in my opinion,
for the person,
that's just wrong. Period. There's
a lot of people that think murder is wrong. I don't think murder wrong. But it just depends on the thing.
Situations in which we would have to discuss that at a later date.
Well, because I put it like this: Boosie's value on what that meant to his son is obviously skewed to his particular lifestyle. Because you
Right.
gotta think, he got all these kids. If you got a son that's 12 years younger than you, that means you was on it very quickly. So
Right.
so to me, to try to put it into good or bad parenting isn't necessarily the conversation. The conversation is why do you hold, you know, that sexual, like the fact that you getting some higher than, you know, because you got to think his son, how old was his kid? What, 13, 15?
13.
Yeah.
I think he's
14,
16
I
now.
Yeah, so for you to feel like, oh, if I get my son some, that's what he considers a level of manhood. That's a
Yeah.
sense of
But
pride
he also,
for him.
he also
It's
feels
right.
different for
I
them,
don't
right?
right?
Some head. He can't be gay. He can't be gay because I got him some
Kind
head.
of like, yeah, like the old school thing. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that
gonna get
old
him on the right path.
I'm gonna get him on the right path.
This is what life is about, son. You get these broads.
Yeah,
At your age,
exactly.
you need to be throwing
And-
in these women.
As
And
a
you need to
parent,
smash
Yeah.
Right. Basically setting this little cat up for what could possibly be relationship issues into the future. So
Or it could be positive. It could turn out to be positive too.
it
In
could.
terms
I mean, but the
Nothing
chances of it
about
being,
it will turn
but
out
the chances
positive.
of it being positive are so
or
slim
this,
that it's not even.
and the chances of it being negative is very slim as well.
No, it is
We
not.
all-
The chances of it being negative
No,
are way
the
greater
thing-
than it
no,
possibly
it's
being
not.
positive.
The thing is,
There's no way you're gonna
the
say
negative.
that.
Here's the thing: is the negative images are just plastered and out here to be seen on a regular basis. But because we not studying positive interaction of early childhood sexual activity.
Yes, we are.
We study how
do
it
that. They
negatively
research
There
that
you
stuff
go.
all the
I
time.
figured it out.
This is more
I don't
than that.
understand. Have you read like any childhood journals, articles, done any research, anything like that?
Every
Have
sexual
you looked at
activity.
any of that, or are you just,
Did it,
or is
did it
that
in
just
school?
a personal
Did it on
opinion?
your own?
Because if you are looking at,
I mean,
just,
Brian, I mean,
if you
we
look at
all
the
went to
facts,
school
or
just
you
the same
just
as you
shooting
did. Done
opinions.
research based on just about everything.
I did.
Look, my name back on the
happy
screen.
about that. Everybody got their names
Now
back.
you know it's me.
Now you know who he is.
So what you
You
saying
must
is
not
it
know
was you
who
all
he
along.
is. You must not know. Sorry, I'm sorry.
And it's not so.
With the idea that the 13-year-old, the 12-year-old, however old he was, I'm still going on. This was his idea. Okay, even if it was his idea, for the same reason why we not gonna let him run the house next month is the same reason why I'm not agreeing to get this done. This is the mind of someone who is not an adult and not prepared to make adult decisions. And this is a very adult decision that as a parent, you go, I got that you want those urges, but what I'm not going to do is illegally go pay a woman to molest you.
Why is sex a very adult decision? Why is having sex a very adult decision?
Because of the consequences of it. That's simple.
Consequences.
Consequences.
The consequences are adult.
There are
So
adult consequences.
so the consequences making an adult decision.
Yes, the consequences.
So
Just like the
what
reason,
we're saying
the
is
reason why
because
we
of
don't let,
the
the reason why an
because
8-year-old can't drive a car is because you could take a car out here and you could hit somebody on the side of the
but what
street.
if he? But here's the thing: what if he know how to drive?
Even an
can't
8-year-old,
drive.
I still not gonna let you drive.
But the thing is, you said the consequences. The reason why you won't let him drive because he can possibly be in an accident. As an adult, you can know how to
No, I
drive and
didn't
still
say-
have an
no, I
accident.
didn't say because
The
you
consequences
possibly
don't go
get in an
down just
accident.
because you get
Okay,
older.
If you're
Right.
gonna,
But the
if you're going to,
consequences never go away.
but if you don't understand that
of an 8-year-old driving,
In the country, when we lived in the country, you started driving. I think, especially, I think it's our mother-in-law. I think she was driving a stick at 8 to 10 years old. So
Okay,
it just depends on the person.
But you're talking about a whole different set of circumstances.
But the thing, here's the thing. This is what I'm
Like that.
discussing, right? This is my point. What y'all study saying, y'all saying consequences are the problem. Even here's the thing: is how is this a problem when the consequences never leave? Even when you're an adult, it's still that same consequences of getting
But-
this,
Yes,
that, and the other.
okay.
The consequences
When you
don't
are
change
an
with
adult,
age.
If you're going
You
to
have the ability to think about the consequences.
Right.
you
So-
as
As a child, you can think about them; they still there.
no, but
But
if you're
they-
going
the
to,
consequences never leave.
Children don't think about consequences. Children walk on a top of a fence and hop on one foot because they don't think about the consequences. And then when they fall and scrape up themselves, they go,
They
I had
pick
no idea
themselves
that
back up
happened.
online from.
okay, here's the thing. If you look at the process of the way a brain matures, right? Most adult brains don't mature until about 21 to 25. So that means that
25 years
before 21, your brain is immature, so it's more impulsive and it's less likely to look at the full picture
So
of what the decision is.
what you saying
So
before
that's
21 to
why
25, you think a brain is incapable of making logical
no, it's
decisions?
no, I didn't
we're
say
not
it was
saying it's
incapable.
incapable of making logical
I'm just
decisions.
saying
It's
that
not a
I know,
logical decision.
I know for a fact.
It's
I know
the
for a-
gravity.
I know
They
for a
don't
fact
understand the gravity.
that
So what you're saying is before 21 to 25, we don't have people that can understand the gravity
yes,
of decision making.
actually,
We're not
actually,
talking
you
about
don't.
people. We're talking about the general age group as to why we don't let
Now,
now
so here,
12
no,
year
no,
olds.
now we talking. Now there you go. We
It's
talking
the
about the
reason why we
general
don't let
populace,
no.
right?
What you're
we
trying to
don't
do,
let
Basing this
12-year-olds
this
vote.
decision off the general populace.
no, what you're trying to do is you're
But
trying to take
even
exception
if
to what we're saying, and
even if I thought I had the most adult,
Wickham is
mature
partly right.
12-year-old.
There are exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
so
Okay,
what
but
you're
here's the thing: if
so
my
the
12-year-old went to Harvard and was able to hang with Harvard, I'm not going to let my 12-year-old interact with an adult prostitute, even though they have a Harvard level mind. That's still not something in intellect and dealing with the emotions. What can
because
come out of it?
because
Why is sex now an emotional act? Why is sex now an emotional
oh
act?
It's
wow,
not always
we
an
just
emotional
gonna go
act,
play.
but
You gonna
it's
play
It's
a
not.
whole
completely
lot
stupid right now. You gonna act
I'm gonna
like
be
there's
honest
not
with
an
you.
emotional chapter here?
I could be 100% with you. Sex don't make me feel one way about you or another. I can lay down
But you're a
with you
grown
and then
ass
get up.
man.
As
You're
a
a grown ass man.
child,
That's different
as
when
a
you were
child,
12.
here's at 12 or 13. What you say? I can send you on your way
okay.
and go on
Here's
about my
the
day and play the game for the rest of the day.
here's the breakdown of the breakdown in the whole conversation. The part that you are forgetting, which is that this you can't put exceptions and make them rules. So you can't say that
I'm
like,
not
oh,
trying
the
to.
whole groups of people feel like this, or whole groups of people feel like
That's what
this.
you doing.
That's
You
one
saying
thing.
whole groups of people feel like
No,
this? That's
but
exactly what you're saying. I'm not. I'm just saying that.
second thing is that you can't take away certain scientific facts
Yeah.
that are out there that have been proven.
I haven't disagreed with any of the science that you I hadn't disagreed with any of the science that you put out there. I agree totally with your assessment about how the brain matures, and I agree that some people can't.
So what you're saying is that you would allow, or you're perfectly fine with an immature brain making a rash decision. I said a rash decision.
A rash decision.
Yeah, a rash decision, because that's typically what an immature brain does.
It does it on we do it on a regular basis as an adult, even after 25.
We do, but as an adult, you understand your consequences. You end
I
up
think y'all take too much. Y'all put too much into adulthood. You like, oh, now that I'm adult, I can do whatever the fuck I want and disregard.
What we're saying is that developmentally at 12, you are not aware of your consequences. You don't understand the consequences, and you're just not capable of making
I could disprove what you just said in one thing. When you was outside, here's the thing. Y'all keep saying that 12 y'all ain't aware of consequences. At 7:00 when that street light came on, what the fuck did you do? You hurry up and got your ass home because you was aware of the consequences. You was aware of the consequences. You understood that you understood that some shit could happen to you.
No, but he just said
you are totally aware of consequences at 12, 13.
Pause for a second.
Not related.
What you just said was that you were aware of the consequences at 12, right? So when the street light came on, you didn't come in. You knew mom, dad, whoever was gonna whoop that ass, right?
All right.
Okay. Let's look at the situation of getting your dick sucked, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Do you think that a 12-year-old comprehends that, like, he get his dick sucked, it's possible for him to get AIDS? Do you think that that's really in his mind?
I know at 12 or 13, my son took sex education, and we was talking about AIDS and transmitted diseases and pregnancy at that age.
But did he comprehend that though? Did he understand that? So like,
you'll never fully understand how well somebody comprehends anything.
That's what we're saying is that, like,
no matter if you're 20. Here's the thing.
At 12, you don't even know about all of the consequences.
Here's the thing. It's a lot of shit we talk about on here, and I listen to you all's responses, and as adults, I don't agree that you understand fully what's going on. So to try to gauge how well a child understands, you're like, oh, just because you're 13, you don't really know that you can get that AIDS. You heard you can get AIDS, but you don't really know you get AIDS. Get the fuck out of here, man. You know, but you might do the shit anyway.
The only thing that I could let me look at it like this. I watched the podcast yesterday, and his thing was we would take dumb shit people say and try to find a positive in it. Try to see where they got that dumbass angle from, because it doesn't make sense in our world. The only way I could see what you're saying being valid is that very, very recently, up until modern times, people were adults. People were having kids at 12 and 13. They were getting married at 12 and 13. They were parents. They were doing adult things. Only very, very recently did we start getting to the point where 18, 19, 20 was considered an adult. If in the Middle Ages, you could be married. You could be a woman at 14. You know what I'm saying? So I could see how you could say, okay, maybe you could make adult decisions. But we live in a time and day and age where we try to protect our kids. We try to put them in a world where things are different and where they could be kids for longer. We want to protect them. It's a crazy world out here. The last thing I want to do for my child is take away his innocence by getting his dick sucked at 12.
What's the innocence?
Okay.
What do you mean it's innocent?
Hey, how about this? I give you.
I don't generally understand it, so I'm asking seriously. What do you mean by innocence?
Let me give you a story then. Let me give you a story, right?
I know we use the word a lot, but explain it to me.
No, there's a guy, right? And he was babysat by a person of an older person, and that older person did some things to him at that young of an age that we all would disagree with. And they took it to the next steps and took it further, right? And so what they did for that young person at 8 was sent them down a path of doing more experimentation, more of that, trying to get more of that going and further with it. Now, again, am I saying that 8-year-old or whoever didn't want that? No, I'm not saying that, because they're impulsive. They may have wanted to dig with it, whatever, but they didn't understand the consequences. And so when they look back on their life, they have a different view on a lot of things that other people would view differently, because that particular situation molded them in a particular way that may or may not have had a positive or negative effect upon their life. And all we're saying is that why not just take that variable of us having to guess whether or not this is going to be positive or negative on your life? Why not take that out and just let you continue on your own path and figure it out for yourself? That's it.
I'll be honest with you, just kind of went in a circle, but okay, yeah. If you
so basically, the sexual part is what everybody's kind of, from what I'm getting, it's like if something has you early in a sexual manner, it has an adverse effects on the way. I mean, psychologically, yes, because you got to think once that part of your life is exposed, is completely different. Like life changes at that point. Am I wrong? Right? You know, because. First time getting some.
Once you get the cookie, you know it's kind of over.
The sexual thing.
Perfect
example. Not about the sexual thing. For me, the issue is, like I said, even if the boy was on board with it, letting children and promoting as a parent a child, because you saying it could be some good out of it. I'm waiting to hear this possible positive out of this. I'm not for you letting your 12-year-old drive the car without a license at 12. And you in the car riding shotgun with them. I'm not for that either. And that has nothing to do with
or go smoke a cigarette. Go get a mortgage.
I'm not okay with
that. So wait, you ain't do the driving thing when you was a kid? You ain't get your drive before you had your license?
I didn't drive.
Well, you failed your first driving test. That's why you failed your first driving test right there. Because you didn't do it. 14, 15. He was teaching me on his stick. I was scared to get out there on the streets. So I didn't officially start driving, get my license until I was like 17. You got stuck again. I think you counted.
Damn.
But
we can still hear you though. I mean,
keep going. You still got the ill.
There we go.
I'm back. So when I get a thing, because it's on my phone, when I get a message, it pauses the fucking camera. That ain't the best.
He was like, man, let me tell you about this shit.
All right, yo. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna move
ring the bell.
We're gonna ring the bell. Hey, synopsis: the bad guy's fucking crazy. I told you he was crazy. I don't even know why y'all mad.
Crazy to y'all is open-minded. Y'all know the craziest thing about the conversation is that I didn't. But the thing is, I didn't disagree with anything that y'all said.
And we don't disagree.
We don't disagree with some of the stuff you're saying.
Doesn't mean you make good decisions. I'm not saying all adults make good decisions. That's not a statement of truth either. But I'm saying,
listen, last year 18-year-olds could buy cigarettes. Now they can't.
Let me just, before we get on, let me just say this. If you think and you want to sexualize or you want to adulterize 13, 14-year-olds, you're going to be hard pressed to be able to tell people that when they putting our little black boys in jail for these adult offenses, because right now they're putting kids in jail for murder forever. You could be 14 and go to jail for a murder beef forever. Like you can't tell me that a 14-year-old can't be rehabilitated. He can't change, that you're the same person you were at 14 that you are at 35. That's bullshit. So if you're telling me that you are capable of making adult decisions at 12, then you're telling me that you cannot change, that you should go to jail and you kill somebody and you can never get out, you can never rehabilitate it, because they're giving us 100 years. And I feel that's not fair. Right. That's not fair to little black boys. It's not fair to any of us for us to turn 12-year-olds into adults. Like the way you say
no, I ain't saying turn just because you get to make one adult decision or you get to decide this don't mean I'm turning you into an adult but the thing is, like, when you bring up murder, I'm sorry, if my son went to school and this child decided to bring a gun to school and he killed my son, that nigga need to get 100 years and never get out. Well, he ain't gonna get to live because I'm finna go to jail next.
Like I said,
I mean, you ring the bell. You are 100% right, country boy. They can be real. People do change. Right. People do change. If you go to jail for 35 years, you can come out a different person. I don't disagree with that. But as a person that, if it was to happen to me, I'm still, entitled to feel the way I feel. You killed my child.
Right. Ding ding.
How we get to murder? Like, well, let me tell you something.
It was murder because they have a program where 14-year-olds get an opportunity to be paroled after a certain amount of time, or underage kids get an opportunity to be paroled after a certain amount of time. You can't put a 14-year-old in jail for life. Yeah, what I'm saying is,
he's 34. He's gonna be out.
He should be able to get a chance at a regular life, and that's why I'm just applying that. That I know that it was an extreme.
It's a stretch, but I get where you was going. I get where you were going. I get where you were going with it.
Yeah,
I get where you was going with it.
Anyway, murder. Wait a minute.
I think he just used an extreme case.
I don't know if you guys are aware. That's the thing I do. I use the most extreme example of anything to try to make a point.
And actually,
I was like, wait a minute.
And that actually works against you, because like when you use an extreme like that, typically the other person who hears the argument, typically
it shuts down.
Right, because like that, because like what you said,
I feel like when I use an extreme, I show you how silly your point of view is because of how extreme my point of view was.
Well, that person would have to believe that their point of view is an extreme, and the bad guy doesn't feel like his point of view is an extreme.
Well, only because it happens on a regular basis. It's not.
Anyway, we're going something lighter. So the second topic was, how do you measure your success as a parent? So first, it started out with Boosie, and Boosie being
a bad parent.
A bad parent. I guess we could say that. We can at least say that, nigga. That's you're not going farther.
The party was a success,
huh?
The party was a success.
Exactly. The party was a success. You as a father? No.
The party was popping.
The party was popping.